Welcome back to the guide, Exile. After you've been warped back to Oriath, you will be placed into the slave pens below Oriath's surface, within the district of Theopolis. Here you will want to follow the doorways down, moving left once you can no longer go any further down. You do not have to go up onto the ledges here. Once you get to the bottom left, you will encounter Overseer Krow. Overseer Krow has 3 distinct moves. A melee whip attack. This is a semi-ranged melee attack that deals moderate damage. This move can simply be tanked. A storm whip. This attack hits the target with a melee hit and places a large lightning ball onto the ground. This ball explodes after a short time, releasing 7 lightning ball projectiles into a small area of effect. This deals both physical and lightning damage. You want to try and avoid the melee hit and stay away from the lightning ball. A storm burst. Much like the player skill Storm Burst, Overseer Krow will channel numerous lightning balls in a target direction. As projectiles, these deal minimal lightning damage, but once Krow finishes channeling, all of the lightning balls will explode, dealing increased damage. For this, you will want to move out of the stream of lightning ball projectiles. Overseer Krow can be taken down easily by keeping out of his channeled storm bursts, place storm whips, and damaging him during his channeling phases. Once he is taken down, you will be provided a ladder to enter the Overseer's Tower, the main town for Act 5. Here you will want to turn in and grab your new quests. After this, make your way to the control blocks entrance at the top portion of the town. The control blocks has a fairly static layout. You will first want to go to the top left to get the Masometer. Once you get this item, you will want to head up and all the way to the right towards the next zone. In general, in this zone, you will have to travel up and down between the different levels. It is very useful to have a movement skill that can cross gaps and ledges, as you can move between these levels where there are broken portions of fencing. Before we exit to the next zone, we will come across Justicar Casticus, whom we must kill. Justicar Casticus will perform the following moves. A Lacerate. Similar to the player skill Lacerate, the Justicar will slash twice, sending out 2 red waves. These can overlap and deal substantial damage. Sidestep and avoid standing in the overlap of the slashes. A Thrown Shield. The Justicar will throw his shield to a target location, dealing area of effect damage and creating a 5 projectile nova around it. You'll want to try and move away from his shield toss, but if you are hit by the shield, do not move immediately, as you will take damage again from one of the spawned projectiles. Summon Blood Ravens. Here the Justicar will create a shield around himself, taking 75% reduced damage while he summons waves of blood ravens, similar to the player's skill Summon Raging Spirits. Here you will simply just want to kill all the summoned ravens. As always, keep active and move out of the Justicar's moves, and make sure to have a decent area of effect skill to take down his ravens. After you have taken him down, continue to the right to find the staircase and exit to the Oriath Square. Grab the waypoint here. You can waypoint back to town and turn in your quests and gather your rewards if you would like. The Oriath Square has a static layout in that it will always be the same for every run. You will want to head right, crossing the square and then a bridge. Beware that many of the mobs from here on out in Act 5 deal moderate damage and can stack on top of you very quickly with their movement skills, so be sure to have well-rolled life flasks and defensive flasks. After you have crossed the bridge, head down until you come across the entrance to the Templar Courts. In the Templar Courts, you will want to go down and to the right, and then cut back left once you go down as far as you can. Once you travel left, you will want to begin moving back up to find the entrance to the Chamber of Innocence. This zone is fairly static and straightforward in nature, with a few minor variations in pathing. You will want to grab the waypoint and begin heading up and going to the left. You will wrap around in a counterclockwise fashion and begin heading down. From here you want to go up left or up right to reach the arena for the mid-act boss, High Templar Avarius and Innocence. After you complete this encounter, Act 5 zones will be permanently changed, but won't restrict any quests that you have not completed. This is a multiple stage boss fight that first begins with the High Templar Avarius and transitions to the god Innocence. This is a dangerous fight with many mechanics to be aware of. It is recommended to have capped fire and lightning resistances, and more than 1200 effective HP. The High Templar Avarius will perform the following moves. A melee attack. Avarius will perform a basic melee attack with his staff, which deals substantial damage. Try to avoid melee range, or make use of mitigation flasks if you are melee. Cleave. Avarius will wind up his staff, and a yellow circle will appear around his base. After a short period, he will perform a 180-degree frontal cleave, dealing physical damage. Move away or to Avarius's backside. Divine Slam. Avarius brings his staff back, charging up and slamming the ground, creating a succession of shockwaves, similar to the player's skill Sunder. At the end of its travel, the wave will explode in a large area. You will want to move to the left or right of Avarius to avoid these shockwaves. Fireball. Avarius points his staff at a target location and releases 3 fireballs. For this move, you will want to move from your current location as quickly as possible. Raise Statue. Avarius will begin to summon statues that line the room. These cannot be damaged and will follow you, attacking you with a slow melee swing that maims. After 12 seconds, they will unanimate and stand still where they were last. They will act as shields for attacks that Avarius performs. These statues move very slowly, so just ensure to keep out of their melee range. Rapid projectile. Avarius picks a target, charges up, creating a yellow circle in front of himself, and then quickly fires 5 projectiles. Keep circling Avarius, as he will track you until he fires his projectiles. Summon Templars. At 50% life, Avarius will teleport to the center of the room and begin summoning packs of ethereal Templars for 24 seconds. All unanimated statues will then reset. You will simply just want to kill all of these for flask charges. Once you have killed Avarius, the God of Innocence will then break free from Avarius' corpse. Innocence, like Avarius, has many moves and most of them are quite dangerous. Innocence will perform the following moves. Delayed Blast. Innocence creates 2 concentric yellow circles on the ground. Once the smaller circle expands to the larger circle, it will explode, dealing substantial damage. You will want to move out of the larger circle once it appears. Divine Beam. Innocence charges up and fires a beam similar to the player's skill Scorching Ray. This beam deals fire damage over time, and applies a stacking debuff that increases fire damage taken by 10% for each stack. For this move, you will either want to get close to Innocence and circle around him, or hide behind an unanimated statue. A Divine Charge. Innocence will quickly dash across the arena, releasing numerous spark projectiles in his path. Try and stay near his original location and follow his path to avoid the sparks. Divine Firestorm. Innocence creates 5 projectiles that strike the ground in quick succession. These are hard to see, but can be avoided if you are constantly moving. Divine Slam. Innocence winds up and slams the ground, creating a large area of effect explosion. Here you want to move away or to Innocence's backside. Super Projectile. Innocence lobs a super projectile. Once this projectile hits the ground, it explodes into 5 double-stacked waves of projectiles. These are very tightly packed and deal substantial damage. These should be avoided at all costs. Ensure to stand behind an unanimated guardian, or as far from the initial super projectile to try and manually dodge all the smaller projectiles. Summon Templars. Like with Avarius, at 66% and 33% life, Innocence will teleport to the center of the room and begin summoning packs of ethereal Templars for 24 seconds. All unanimated statues will reset. You'll just want to kill Templars to regain flash charges. Once you have taken out Avarius and Innocence, you will then want to head to the bottom right corner of the arena, back into the Chamber of Innocence. Walk up and enter the Torched Courts, reworked and renamed from the Templar Courts. Here you will want to follow the opposite pathing of the Templar Courts, heading to the right, and then moving in a counterclockwise fashion to exit to the Ruined Square, reworked and renamed from the Oriath Square. In the Ruined Square, there are 3 different locations that you will be going to. First, you will want to go up to the waypoint and enter the ossuary labeled by the number 1 on the guide map. In the ossuary, you will travel around the area in a clockwise pattern to retrieve the Sign of Purity from the chest. You will then want to portal back to town and collect all of your quest rewards. After that, head back to the Ruined Square via waypoint. You will now want to head to the reliquary marked by the number 2 on the guide map. This is in the bottommost left of the zone. In the reliquary, you will have to collect 3 items for a skill point quest. These are generally located in the outside corners of the zone as shown on the guide map by the green circular outlines. Once you have collected all of them, portal back to town, turn in your quests, and head back to the Ruined Square. As a side note, I recommend doing your normal labyrinth before you continue from here, as you will suffer a minus 30% resistance penalty after completing Act 5. Finally, you will want to head to the cathedral rooftop marked by the number 3 on the guide map to make your way to the final fight of Act 5. This zone is very linear, and you just have to head to the top left, making your way through packs of monsters and holes in the walls. Once you get to the cathedral apex, you have reached the final battle of Act 5. Kitava is the final boss of Act 5 and can be a very difficult fight to master, due to Kitava's high damage output and very fast move animations. There are 4 main phases to the fight, and Kitava will gain new moves in the first 2 phases. It is recommended to have capped fire resistance, more than 1500 effective HP, and good physical mitigations. In Phase 1, from 100% to 90% life, Kitava will perform the following moves. A Slam. Kitava targets a location, raises his hand which begins to glow red, and slams the ground. This creates an expanding shockwave. If you are within melee range, Kitava will perform this move faster and there will be no shockwave. Try to move to the left or right of your current location as soon as you see his hand move up. Swipe. Kitava will lay his forearm out across the arena and begin swiping. This will cover roughly 66% of the arena, dealing numerous heavy hits if you were to stand within it. It is best to step all the way to the back of the arena, or to the opposite side of the swipe to avoid its damage completely. In Phase 2, 90% to 75% life, Kitava will perform the following new moves. Devouring Darkness. Kitava reaches into the darkness and pulls out projectiles that fire in random directions. These projectiles leave physical degeneration trails. Recommendation is to not stand in this portal or around it. Throw Debris. Kitava will grab nearby debris and throw it at the target location, dealing substantial physical and fire damage. You want to move from your current location as quickly as possible. X-Blast. Kitava will grasp the air and summon 4 small circular marks that explode. This will occur a total of 3 times, with each wave converging to a center point, where the final larger mark will explode, dealing substantial damage. Move out of the marked initial radius as quickly as possible. At the end of Phase 2, Kitava will expose his heart. Kitava's heart will begin to summon physical damage minions along with one unique mob, the Champion of Feast. This unique monster makes use of a Flicker Strike and is quite deadly. This move will end once the heart reaches 80% life. You want to keep mobile and take down the unique minions as quickly as possible. In Phase 3, 75% to 60% life, Kitava will perform the same movesets as in Phase 2. At the end of Phase 3, Kitava will again expose his heart. Kitava's heart will begin to summon physical damage minions along with 2 unique mobs, the Champion of the Feast and Shaman of the Feast. The Champion of the Feast makes use of the Flicker Strike and is quite deadly. The Shaman of the Feast fires physical projectiles and summons more minions. This move will end once the heart reaches 60% life. Again, you will want to keep mobile and take down the unique minions as quickly as possible. In Phase 4, 60% to 50% life, Kitava will perform the same moves as in Phase 2 and 3. Once you bring Kitava to 50% life, he will go down and return completely transformed, colored black and red. He will cast a giant red beam, destroying the Sign of Purity and knocking you out. You will have now completed the fight and Act 5, receiving the permanent negative 30% resistance penalty. But you have not defeated Kitava yet. You must move on to Act 6 and sail back to Rayclast first. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Exile.